3, 2, 1. What's up, mi gente? Let's get right into this week's episode. House parties. Have you ever been to one? Go ahead down below and write your comment of your craziest, closest Project X. No, I'm just kidding. You don't have to do all that. But if you did make it this far into the video, drop a comment saying, I don't know. I don't know. I've always liked how YouTubers, I've been consuming more YouTube lately because of, what's going on. As a person who makes videos on YouTube, it's like, sometimes I just want to say, make sure you smash that like button, hit the comments, make sure you subscribe. No, it's too much. I'm not a fan of that. I don't ever ask people. I do ask people to subscribe just so I can see, and every week that I post one, thankfully get one new person that messes with these videos. The next step would be being interactive in the sense of I want to see who watches these specific videos, like my open forum videos, and would comment whatever you want to comment. I guess I have to leave a topic. That's what I usually see YouTubers do. If that's the case, let's try it out. In the comments, all I need is 2 numbers. The 8 or maybe 1 number, depending how crazy you got when you're in your younger years. But if you remember your first house party, make sure you comment the age that you went to. Mine was 11 years old, and that was, no, not even. Whenever you're in 7th grade, that was my first house party. I remember I was nervous. You hear you're calling your friends. You're like, yo, are you gonna go for sure? Meet me here at this time. Hey, you want to pull up together? All you're going is to somebody's house. They have crappy lighting. It's probably in a basement. 9 out of 10, especially here in Chicago. I've been to a number of house parties, and the first one was in a basement, and it was the people I went to school with were Polish. So it was a Polish party, and it was just a lot of rap Polish, which I didn't know existed until that day. And it was somebody had, they brought their fog lights, and we're 13, and I saw kids smoking and drinking and not being a lame, but I was just in the cut, cool. And then you look around to see if there's maybe a girl from school that you like, and as a guy you're like, oh man, let's make sure that the song comes on, the juke music, little things that when you look back you're just wow, that's what I was nervous about. You grow up and you're wow, my fears change all the time now. I was afraid of going at now it's I haven't done it in a super long time, but I can't tell you the last time, maybe the first time I was in a club, early 21. I should put that in quotes because I've been to clubs before the 21. So by the time I actually got to 21, wow, that's actually a good topic, clubs. But we're not talking about that right now. We're talking about house parties. So that was my first house party. And then I didn't go to any house parties after that. I think some girl hosted a house party after our luncheon in 8th grade, and that was that. It was 5 people that showed up, and it was 3 girls and 2 guys, and 2 of them were siblings. So it was me and 2 other girls. It was weird, and it just became a movie night. That's how you have a trash house party when you intended to be a house party, but it ends up being a movie night. But then moving on to high school is where it was fun, man. So many house parties. I remember one time my friends Chris and Ivan, and this was probably our senior year, and I can't believe I'm telling this story, but it's been long enough, and I could have gone to jail, but thankfully I had somebody watching me over that night. I kid you not, I had to drive these 2 people, and these guys, we used to be when I was a senior, I used to drink Jack Daniels. And yeah, no, I didn't have any taste buds. So I used to drink that with Coke. And this night we just kept drinking and drinking. I went from being the DD to I wasn't supposed to even have my own keys. But I don't know how it happened. They're like, oh, we gotta go there. And I kid you not, I had to drive these 2 people. And they lived they lived close, but in the city, close was I don't know, it was probably early morning. So it's 1 or 2 in the morning. It's a Friday night, and I was driving from by where the lake was into the city, and I was here in this Nissan Altima 96 blue with these 2 guys. my friend at the right and my other friend in the back, and they were just wilding, and I'm over here like, please let me make it home, please let me make it home. And I dropped off the first one, and then the second one was calmer because he was like falling asleep. I dropped him off, and I'm like, okay, let me just. And I think just driving, like you don't realize that when you're out there, do you know how many people at night, like on the weekends, are driving drunk? Like I see people to this day, like I'm like, I see him in the bar or in the club, and I'm like, I know I just saw you down 3 shots. What are you doing? And, you know, I'm not here trying to say I'm a perfect angel, because I have driven and I've done drunk driving, but I've also done it in high school, which if my parents, I'm sure my parents probably figured it out. Like, you know, like they know you're not dumb, and I don't recommend it, like, especially because, I would only imagine, I would still probably be in, what is it called, punishment, or I'd still probably be grounded if my parents ever found, like, especially that night, like, liquor in your system, no insurance. I had my driver's license, but I was under 21. Like, that would have been there would have been probably thousands of hours of community service and a DUI, and that would have just messed up my sometimes you just gotta. But then you learn, like, I can't tell you now. Like, now I go to clubs and I drink water. And I'm like, especially if I like driving because I like being in control. And if we're going out and my car's full of 4 people, 5 people, like, I'm not going to drive. I'm not going to drink it because I'm not going to risk it. You know, like, I got to keep my eyes out for the people out there who are not, who are not responsible. And it's a funny story because that links up with one time, the one house party I went to. It was downtown Indiana. I don't know if I've shared this story, but long story short, I went with one of my good friends, Ivan. We get there, and it was a group of us from Chicago. It was like 5 of us. No, it was 3 of us and 2 girls. We went down there, and this is the time that I had like a small, like, I was a DJ for like a span of 6 months. This was the night that, like, it all started it off. So I had like the app on my phone, and I connected it, and I just connected it. Is that even a word? I connected my phone to the speakers. I just started jamming, and I just kept drinking. People kept bringing me drinks. Next thing I know, I blacked out. I wake up, I'm hammered, I'm black, smell like puke, disgusting. I was like, never in my life. That moment made me realize, never in my life will I ever get blacked out, like, to not know how I went to sleep. And that night, after a certain time, everything's into like glimpse, and then the rest has just been told to me. So I never did that. In high school, the house party were fun, but even like when I was in college, I remember this, another friend of mine invited me to like this UIC party, and we pulled up, we couldn't get in, they didn't let us in, and I used the tactic of like, yo, what do you mean? I was just in there, like, blah, 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 sent me here, like, we just went out to the car to get cigarettes, like, what do you mean? They're like, no, it's full capacity. I'm like, dude, and we went back and on, and it was like a bunch of jocks, like, this is our house, and I'm like, all right, whatever. So my friend and I leave, and what do? We go into our car, we're parked a block away, we call the police, and we say that there's a fight in front of this place, and we saw somebody, I think it was like somebody with a gun or a knife was what my friend said, and we called them, and we said we're anonymous, and we waited there, and 10 minutes later, the cops came, party got shut down. We were just in the car. I'm like, yo, we got to get out of here, because if these people find out, we just fled the scene. And I remember that day was funny, because we were just like, what? Like, did this really just happen? The party had probably just started, but because they didn't let us in, we were like, why should anybody else go? But the fun parties were in high school. Like, there's 2 of them I remember. One was a Halloween costume party, which was, I think I dressed up as a pilot. There's pictures out there. And that night it was funny, like, you drink, you have the older people there who provide the drinks. But this house party was different because the parents were young enough that they actually were partying with us. So they were the ones supplying the drinks. And man, I think this was like the first time that like I ever smoked. And I was so zooted, like, you don't even understand. Like, I remember I even took a picture, and I have it. and like my eyes are just red. And I remember I had the best sleep that night. That was like one of the few times I've ever done that. I was at that house party and I was just like, wow, these parents are really partying with. But looking back, it's like they were smart. They're like, they want their kids to be the cool kids. So they're like, yo, bring all your friends. We'll have it in the first floor. And then, you know, you can just have fun. And then compare that to like a party that like a group of friends that try to, you know, after that movie Project X came out, so many people try to resemble like even 10% of it. It didn't go as if. And I remember a friend was like, yo, let's go. We got there. We had to pay $5 at the gate. We went to the back, and this was like in the hood. And it made sense why the police didn't raid in until like 2:30 in the morning. We were there for like a decent 3 hours. And, you know, you just see your typical, you know, beer pong and, you know, people smoking, people drinking, dancing, your occasional 1 or 2 fights. Like now that, you know, we have more time to like just think, I look back at those parties, I'm like, wow. Like I've been to like high-end parties and I'm like, man, obviously it doesn't compare, but like those are like little moments in your life that, you know, stick out. And it's like they get you ready for the next, which is like clubs and bars, and then like for like the luxury, you know, party life experience. But it all starts with house parties. It all starts with, you know, a group of kids in a basement, you know, listening to some music. Yeah, house parties, man. You can't go wrong. Now, with my kids in the future, I would try to be the cool parent. Yeah, but I don't know. There might be some cool technology that like I can surveillance them. You know, like if I have a basement or whatever, if I have like a backyard and they try to party, like I'll be keeping my eyes on them. You know, I can't trust, you know, because I'm not going to be responsible for all these other kids if stuff goes down. It is what it is. And with all that being said, I will see you next week.